PK52, the Saturday morning meeting. Well, for over 30 years with Toyota, I finally made it to Ann Arbor. So I went to the Toyota Motor North America Research and Development Center at Ann Arbor, and we had a meeting for a couple of days, and we got to go on a tour. Obviously, you can't take your phones, or if you take your phones, got to cover the camera. No photos. Some of the most amazing things and amazing explanations that I think that all of us need to know. I'm going to take a very brief time and tell you some of the highlights of what I saw. Here's what I ask. I looked at the engineers and I said, the things you're telling us today about the way the Toyota product is developed, the way the product is tested, and the way it's delivered to the customer, we don't hear any of that at the dealership level. We can't tell the customer that the Toyota product is superior to every other product based upon the research and development and how you guys bring the product to the market, because we don't know. And I've asked them to go back to the old school a little bit and say, please send us some videos. Tell us about the paint. Tell us about the crash protection. Tell us about what's coming next. Because the only way that we can sell up for against other products is to know exactly what our engineers and scientists are doing to develop the greatest product on earth. I got to be honest with you. I'm even more jacked about the product now than ever before. Let me just tell you some really cool stuff. So first of all, Hilbert, H-I-L-B-E-R-T, was a little independent three-bay car garage like you would see in any small town, a brand B repair independently owned place. That's where the R&D center started with Toyota, in this little bitty small building, and they started testing cars and trying to make the Toyotas better. And then they moved to this gigantic campus. And if you saw my Tacoma videos that I saw, that I did last week, well, it was right there in the big circle. They had it all roped off and food and everything out there. It was amazing, the Toyota product they had out there. And I had to ask and wait and wait and wait just to be able to do a very short video, because they really didn't want me to post that video. So there's a lot of really cool stuff coming right now. I learned that the auto show cars that we see in the auto show, the prototype cars, those are handmade in Ann Arbor. I mean, like the handmade. We're not shipping a Camry down to Georgetown and having them build an all-new Camry at Georgetown. It is put together by the engineers, one piece at a time. So once that car goes through the auto show, it doesn't have a vehicle identification number, and they destroy the car. And it's massive amount of hours, man hours, and planning just to build a prototype. And there were several prototypes in that building with covers on there, and I just wanted to go just pull the covers up and look a little bit. Didn't get a chance to do that. They were watching me like a hawk. So some of the really cool stuff that I saw, one of the things is we are really pushing hydrogen at port facilities. So these big rigs come in here, and they come in as a Class A diesel. And we do a complete conversion and convert it to hydrogen. Gang, you know, the hydrogen thing to me makes all the sense. And again, nobody's asking me, but when I go and I charge my EV car at a charge center, and behind that center is a diesel generator producing the power to charge my car, that doesn't make any sense at all to me. And that's what's happening all over the country. Just people are just, they just have no idea that's going on. But could we make a hydrogen generator? Because a hydrogen generator waste emission would be nothing more than water vapor. So the push with Toyota continually into this hydrogen thing makes all the sense in the world to me. We are the cleanest car company in the world if you look at the way we're going forward with our technology. Why would you buy any other brand? Ann Arbor in the city has autonomous self-driving cars driving all over the city. Now they're Lexus cars that are converted to autonomous cars. But, you know, how weird would it be to be driving to work in Ann Arbor and look over and see a car pass you that has nobody in the car? So those are driving all over the city, and I didn't know that until we were about to leave, but we went out to dinner. There's a group of us because there's a performance group, and I said, well, why did we go to dinner in the autonomous cars? Because that would have been super cool. So I didn't get to experience that, but they did tell me about it. The all-new battery technology we've been teasing about, the massive almost 800 miles on a charge and very, very short 10-minute charge time, that evolution looks like it's going to be coming in the year 2025. So we're minutes away from that. That's phenomenal. So everybody knows how trailer assist works. You know, for that person that can't back a boat into the water without jackknifing the trailer. So we've taken all that away from people. And there are still millions of people in America that have no idea that we have that technology. They've never seen it. They've never seen a video or anything. Now they're telling me, and I can't give you any more information than just a statement right here. Now they're telling me they're going to have hitchless towing. So you don't even have to hitch the trailer up. The truck recognizes the trailer, communicates with the trailer, and the trailer follows the truck. Now, I didn't get to see that done, but I'm going, okay, what is the technology in that? And how does that change everything that the trailer and the vehicle can actually communicate together? That's going to change everything. There's so much going on at that R&D center. The people there are extremely brilliant. And when I posted them up about telling us what's going on, they go, well, we really don't like to talk. They're so smart that they just, in an open communication, it's really hard for them to explain how their minds work. But that's the beauty part about having these people designing our future product. Gang, it's just going to get better and better. There's a deal called, and I know I'm just rambling, but there's a deal called wellness guardrail. So now the car can read your body signals. So you're driving down the road. Let's say the driver has a heart attack. So the driver is incapacitated, having a heart attack. The vehicle takes over, checks all the traffic around the vehicle. It pulls the vehicle safely to the side of the road autonomously. And then a medical drone is sent out immediately to the car. So we're minutes away from the car becoming the first stage of your medical practice. It's just, how do people come up with this stuff? It is unbelievable. The pedestrian protection that you know well about, how the car stops and how you can throttle the car down, all that you're really familiar with. But now they're building materials into the car by looking at the human body and saying if the car and the human were hit, where would the human's head go? How would the impact be? And they're starting to change the materials on the car so that it'll protect the actual pedestrian. So, in America, maybe we don't think about that. There's not a whole lot of people that get hit, but you start looking around the world at the massive populations of these towns, and you look at these city centers where the cars and the motorcycles are perpetually going and nobody's stopping and people's trying to walk through there. I mean, this is revolutionary for protection. Okay, so my favorite part of the whole day was they took us to the crash lab. And this is a gigantic runway. So they strap the car up and they pull the car toward the barrier. So I'm going to let you know, in a real world accident in a current generation car, even if the driver was incapacitated, texting, not paying attention, once you approach an object, the car's going to start throttling itself down and the brakes are applied because we have the technology built into all of our cars that'll do that. When they crash test a car in Ann Arbor, they bring the car up to about 90 kilometers an hour, which is about 60 miles an hour. And then right before impact, they disconnect the tram system and the car hits the barrier. That is no brake at all. That is a full 60 mile an hour collision with the car not trying to slow it down. Go back again. Remember, if you were in an accident on the road in a Toyota current generation, before you ever had an impact, the car would arm itself and the brakes would go off on the car. So this is a massive collision into an offset barrier. So they say the parameters that the government requires for this crash test to be rated would be an impact into a 25 millimeter zone. So if you're outside the 25 millimeters, then the crash test is void. Toyota in that facility has never crashed a vehicle that was outside 5 millimeters. So it is the most exact out there. The dummy that sits in the driver's seat, and I understand they don't like to be called dummies, my bad, but that particular model costs $1.5 million. It takes the technicians 7 to 10 days to put the sensors and the cameras into a vehicle to be crashed. 7 to 10 days. Once that crash happens, lights go off. They say the lights are so bright they'll burn the skin, and they look at it from every single angle so it can be analyzed. And then the calibration on the dummy that was in there It takes 45 days to read the full calibrations of all the impact and the inertia for the dummy inside. So as more and more people get on the road, as speed limits go up to 85 miles an hour, what's going to happen in the future is the cars are going to make everybody a better driver. So when you're trying to talk to a customer about the difference between brand B and a Toyota brand, it all comes back to how much money, how much research, and how much brilliance are put into every single Toyota product. There was so much more to talk about. It was such an experience. I really want to go back and do a one-on-one tour, and I would love to see one of those crashes go off. So the last thing in the crash test lab, I asked, are we crashing EV cars yet? Because we are getting into the EV market. And they said, we haven't started crashing EV cars. However, they pointed at a giant door in the side of this building. And they said, we put that door in there, and that enclosed forklift over there is there in case we crash the EV and there becomes a thermal event. They call it thermal event. I call it a fire. But once a lithium battery goes, thermal, then you can't put it out with water. It creates its own oxygen. So if something like that was to happen, they would grab the vehicle and drag it outside to a burn area. So they're prepared for everything. All the fluids are drained from the cars, but the same viscosity is put back into like the fuel tank with a colored dye. So if there's any leakage or anything, then it can track immediately. And the last thing I'll say is, once they crash a car, that's the beginning. They take every single component of that car off, and then they inventory it in a separate warehouse. So if I wanted to look at a Camry subframe cradle, I could look at, there'd be 50 rows of inventory parts, and in this area right there, if I walk down all 50 rows, all of those would be subframe cradles. So the engineer can go back there and grab 5 different subframe cradles, looking at 5 different events on 5 different crash days, and see if there's any difference between anything. So each and every time that they crash a car, they get better at understanding exactly what happens on the impact to the passengers and the drivers of the car. If that doesn't fire you up to work for the greatest car company on earth, I don't know what does. Again, there was so much more. I can't wait to go back because I've got a lot of questions. It's crazy how big your questions get after you leave. PK52, the Saturday morning meeting.